This is the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center, Something to Talk About, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and sometimes other days. We get together to talk about things of interest and highlight some of the great things that are going on in our community. And today we're going to be talking about the Dispute Resolution Center of Kitsap County. And we'll be doing that with Eve Pillay. I first want to make a little remark about our sponsor. It's Fieldstone Memory Care of Bainbridge Island. They offer innovative and compassionate care, and they are now also offering day stay and respite programs. To learn more or schedule a tour of Fieldstone's beautifully appointed apartments on Rolling Bay, write down this number, 360-689-4314, 360-689-4314. I also want to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people, specifically the Suquamish tribe, the people of the clear salt water. We honor them and are grateful for their hospitality. Also grateful we are for Eve Pillay. She's here from the, as I said, Dispute Resolution Center of Kitsap County. And Eve, you are a volunteer mentor, mediator, and trainer. All right. So I'm hoping that you can give us a little bit of an overview of the many ways that the DRC, the Dispute Resolution Center, can help people out in our area. Thanks.
Okay. Reed, thank you so much. And thank you so much for the invitation to be here. I have to say, the first thing I have to say is that, the Dispute Resolution Center of Kitsap County is a 501c3 community service organization that offers conflict resolution training and services in Kitsap County. We are a United Way partner, so please remember us in the Great Give and on the red envelope. We rely on a small army of volunteer mediators and trainers, and we hope you will join us as a supporter or as an ambassador for the services we have to offer. Now, Reed, if you'd be so kind as to bring up the webpage. We have, there's all sorts of conflicts that we deal with. We deal with mandatory court parenting seminars, small claims, we have a behavioral health ombuds. We handle, eviction notices and eviction mediations, and actually foreclosure mediations. We were, trained by the state to work on those, so that's something really important. We do divorce and parenting plans. We don't actually replace lawyers, but we get people an idea of what they can do on their own, and find out what they're really talking about. We work with schools and with youth in many different ways, and the list just keeps going on. What I want you to know is that we handle conflicts of all sorts, and it's notable that our trainings are recognized by legal, therapy, and human resources communities. We've trained teachers, police officers, judges. We go into prisons to offer conflict management skills. Youths who are caught shoplifting are sent to our theft circles with their families as an alternative to jail and a record. Divorcing parents are sent to our co-parenting class to proceed with their dissolution and move on. Our mental health ombuds is supported by the state to help people with mental health needs navigate their care and support systems. We have helped the tribes recently by setting up a listening circle, a way to bring people together to discuss concerns that included police, elected officials, tribal officials, and people re-entering society from incarceration, as well as concerned citizens. With even the death of Stonechild Chief Stick that July 4 in Goldsboro being part of the discussion. And honestly, there is nowhere else that this happens. So one of the things I'd like to talk about, and where am I, because I cannot get my screen to work, there it is what words come to your mind when you think about conflict? And feel free to just shout out a word. And
neighbors.
Sorrow, anger,
unreconcilable, disaster, tension.
We swim in conflict all the time. We have, conflict is so common that we will tell somebody, I can't make that meeting with you. I have a conflict.
Mm,
You know, it is just normal discourse. What are my kids thinking of? That's a conflict. How do you handle your kids? Well, you're dealing with conflict resolution. You know, you are dealing with your conflict resolution skills all the time. You actually have conflict resolution skills. You've used them all your life. You know, the worst thing you can do is in this culture right now is to be called a Karen. You know, because Karen will call the police or call the and I apologize to anybody whose name truly is Karen. And, I don't want, so we'll call these people pseudo Karens. You know, I'm going to talk to the manager. You know, that's my way of dealing with conflict. But we are dealing with this all the time. A friend gets in touch with you and says, I've got, there's this going on and there's that going around. They are describing their conflicts. And if you're a good friend, you listen. If you're a good friend, you make sure that they know you have listened. And honestly, for me, in my experience, both as a person and as a mediator, there is nothing more important than you can do than to let people know you have heard them. I'm going to separate two things from the DRC. One, we do training. We will, and the training is to, train you at what we do in a mediation, which is to say it's a conflict management training. It is mediation training, is the basic 40-hour training. We also do basic circle trainings. And later, if anybody wants, I'll try to describe the difference between a multi-party mediation, a regular mediation, and circle trainings, which are community trainings. So we offer these ways of saying, let's look at conflict. Let's look at how you think of conflict. This thing where I said, what is the word that comes to mind? If you take the training, I'll tell you, you will be asked, okay, you four people go off into a breakout room and, write down all the words that come up with, when you think of conflict. And, a lot of them, and then we'll ask you, okay, how many of those words are negative and how many of those words are positive? How many of them are just about the pain of it, or how many of them are about also a hope? And then, we examine conflict every which way we can. We examine, we talk about our process of introducing ourselves, letting the people have their say, asking them some questions to make sure we understand what they say. In the mediation, we then move on to what is it you really want to talk about today? And it's got to be something the two of you or more really want to talk about. And you agree to it, because we're not talking about anything that one of you doesn't want to talk about. That's an agenda. Technically, what they say comes next is negotiations. I hate the word because that's always a give me this, I'll give you that kind of thing. When I talk, since I do a lot of parenting plans, I ask, what's going to really work? What do you need in these subjects that you agreed to talk about that will really work for you? And we talk about that. And we listen to them. And at some point, we hope to be able to get people to listen to each other. Because in a lot of high conflict situations, one party has decided they already know what the other party is going to say.
Yep.
So we tell them, okay, tell me what you've got to say. They say it, and you know what we do? We repeat back as best we can what we just heard. So
Can I
that
ask
other
a question here about the listening and the hearing and being heard, because I deeply believe in that. I think it's essential. And so I've signed up for something called compassionate listening training. Starts on the 30th. Would that be a component of your training as well? Would that?
I do not understand what they mean by compassionate.
I don't either. Okay.
I would say that one of the things that obviously the mediators would try to do would try to be to compassionately or thoroughly listen. One of the differences in an instance where you and I might be having a compassionate listening conversation is that a dispute resolution center trained person might be a third party to help keep us on track.
Ah, okay.
Is that fair
Yeah.
to say, Reed?
Yeah, Reed, you said that really well, that, we have this duty to be impartial, so that, we are really careful that we don't put ourselves at the center of things. And that we're really attentive to both sides. And that we understand that we are, as Reed said, in the middle here, trying to create a space for the two of them to have a conversation where they can actually listen to each other.
Right.
So if we, there can be all sorts of difficulties with how they communicate. There can be all sorts of, emotional flare-ups and whatever. We've got different parts of our process to help take care of that. For me, we are a conflict resolution organization that doesn't believe that, it's our job to make sure everybody comes to a resolution.
Yes, that's really important. That's really important.
Talking through it with somebody, we might find the issues that are behind the issues that we're fighting or having conflict over. I mean, I know that happens with your kids, right? It's like you get upset with something and it's like, that's the last straw, right? But what was the first straw?
What was the last straw? I got into being a mediator because, through my neighbor, Steve Olson, who's a lawyer on the island and the husband of Judge Sally Olson. And he's, a trainer and a mentor mediator as well. And his contribution to the trainings is always the same. What they are arguing about is not what they are arguing about.
Exactly.
And that's an incredibly important thing to understand, that you are trying to find out what their real interests are, what would really work for them. I was up at a theft circle in a different county where these brothers had, the 13 or thereabouts, had stolen this bike. And did this circle, and the parents of the kid, the kid whose bike was stolen were there, but so were his parents, and so was the mom of the kids who had stolen the bike. And the parents of the kids whose bike was stolen wanted to make sure that not that this wouldn't happen again. Of course they wanted to make sure of that. They wanted to, once they got an understanding of where these kids were coming from, they were saying, look, we can help you. Because they had a really strong idea of, okay, these kids never had a bike. And they wanted to make sure that they had the resources and the community support to get a bike. Right. At the same time, the kids who stolen the bike, their mom was stuck on this idea of, I am going to make sure they never, steal a bicycle again. I am going to show them, and they are going to listen to me. Because that's the way that she could make amends. And the other parents were saying, no, don't do that. Right. Please let us work together on this. And that's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
And for me, what was most amazing is that I, as just a community member there, I was not there as the mediator. I was there as a community member. What was amazing to me is that they would do this in front of me. Mm-hmm. They would talk this out. They felt safe enough to talk this out in front of me, which means that they had trust for me. They gave me trust. And I think being trusted is just about the most important gift that you can give someone. So if anybody asks me, what do I get out of this? I get trusted.
Yeah.
And I have to honor that trust. We do workplace solutions, workplace issues, and they're never solutions. We give them a chance to really talk, in a multi-party setting, so that everybody feels that they get heard by us and by that the other people in the thing and in the conflict have had a chance to hear them. And we do this in the circle training by asking some really odd questions. Because we don't sit there and say, well, what do you want to do to fix this? There was one mediation, that was multi-party mediation, not a healing circle or listening circle or anything like that. Where the question that opened things up was, well, what do you like best about coming to work in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the people and the employees who had conflict with each other and with management had to hear the human side of these people.
Right.
Not what they wanted, but what made them them. And they could respect that. And because they could respect what they had heard, they could look at things in a different way. We handle an immense variety of conflicts, many of which you can find on our website.
Yeah, I can call that up if you want.
I just make sure that people have the access to the site as it comes up, that it's kitsapdrc.org. That we do an incredible amount of stuff. We work with the courts. We do neighborhood and landlord things. People for home associations that have a conflict, we're there for them. That we expect people to pay what they can pay. If they can pay, we expect them to pay. If they can't pay, we try to make things work. We try to take care of things in the community way. We think that, and actually we think that a lot of issues that come up that become really contentious, whether it's what the school teaches or whatever else, can be helped along by a circle, a listening circle, so that asks the questions that people aren't asking themselves. The equivalent of, tell me what you like when you come to work. What makes you happy? Because when people do that, they stop coming up with their automatic answers or any answers that somebody else has given them. That we get into a completely different realm.
Mm-hmm.
And people often need to just be in that different realm to really come to anything. This is not something I thought I would ever do. Goddamn, my neighbor got me into this, but it's been wonderful.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for spending the time to walk us through all the varieties and also the emotional value that you have found in being a participant.
Well, thanks for this opportunity. And I know that I am just one mediator speaking off the top of her head about this, really. The information I'm giving you is just what I know, and I'm not the best. I cannot speak exactly for the DRC. But yeah, I'll speak for the DRC anytime.
Okay.